Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we've got to talk about something really interesting surrounding the WNBA, the old guard, and the reaction to what has happened ever since Caitlin Clark entered the league. Because now another legend has stepped forward, and honestly, some people are not going to like what she had to say. We are talking about Cynthia Cooper, one of the greatest players in WNBA history, and she delivered a message that was short, direct, and extremely powerful. Now, she mentioned the Indiana Fever fans, but let's be honest here. Everybody already knows a massive part of that fan base is made up of Caitlin Clark supporters who completely changed the attention around this league. And that is where things get interesting. Because what Cynthia Cooper said about the fans, the players, and the overall energy around the WNBA raises some serious questions about decisions that have been made behind the scenes. So really listen closely to the point she makes at the end.
Anytime the Indiana Fever go on the road, it's like they're playing a home game.
They travel like that?
Yes. I was sitting there and mess around. Caitlin or Kelsey hit a bucket and all. You said, "Whoa!" I'm like, "Wait a minute, where am I?
Yeah.
Did I fly to Indiana?" No. So what the heck? At the end of the game, they came over and they thanked me for my sacrifice and thanked me for everything that I had done for the game, and they really appreciated. So, I'm feeling the love from the new generation.
No.
Because anytime the Indiana Fever are going viral, anytime the WNBA is exploding in ratings, attendance, attention, social media engagement, or national conversation, one thing keeps happening over and over again. We keep seeing certain people pushed to the front by the league, while other legends who actually bring positivity and unity seem to get ignored completely. And that brings us to Cynthia Cooper. Because, wow, where has this been from anyone involved in the WNBA? Seriously. This is one of the greatest legends in the history of the sport, and every single time she speaks, it's nothing but respect, class, and praise. We saw it before, back in 2024. I'm trying to remember exactly when it happened. Was it during a game against Dallas? Was it around the All-Star game? I honestly can't remember the exact moment, but I do remember Cynthia Cooper being interviewed briefly, and she had positive things to say about Caitlin Clark. And now, once again, you're hearing her speak positively not only about Caitlin Clark, but also about the Indiana Fever fans, which, of course, we all know means the Caitlin Clark fans. Because let's just be honest about that reality. Ever since Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, those fans have been attacked non-stop. They've been called toxic, racist, fake fans, bandwagon fans, and every other name under the sun simply because they supported a player who changed the popularity of the league overnight. So here's my question to all of you. Why is the WNBA constantly putting forward people who divide fans instead of legends who actually bring fans together? Because look at what has happened with Cheryl Swoops. We all know she's constantly out there saying negative things about Caitlin Clark. Whether people want to admit it or not, that reputation exists now. And yet, she's featured heavily in the WNBA's 30th anniversary promotional material. She's front and center. She's everywhere. But why not Cynthia Cooper? Why not the woman who was literally Cheryl Swoops' teammate during the Houston Comets dynasty years? Why not someone almost universally respected by old fans and new fans alike? Seriously, who dislikes Cynthia Cooper? There's no controversy there, there's no endless social media fighting surrounding her, there's no division attached to her name. So why is she not being pushed more heavily as part of the face of the league's celebration? Get her in those commercials. Put her in those anniversary promos. Let her represent the history of the game. And no, she doesn't need to spend every second praising Caitlin Clark or praising Caitlin Clark fans. She just needs to be herself. Because being Cynthia Cooper already accomplishes something the league desperately needs right now: balance, credibility, and goodwill. Fans respect her. Older fans respect her because of what she accomplished for women's basketball. Newer fans respect her because she doesn't spend her time attacking them or insulting the player they came to watch. And you even heard Cynthia Cooper herself talking about younger fans approaching her respectfully, thanking her for what she did for the game, and appreciating the pioneers who built the league. That matters. So, it genuinely makes no sense why the WNBA seems unwilling to lean into figures like Cynthia Cooper more often. I find it hard to believe she wouldn't want to participate in at least some form of 30th anniversary celebration, considering she was a massive part of the original Houston Comets dynasty that won 4 championships. She helped build the foundation of the league itself. And honestly, putting someone like her front and center would do far more for the league's image with the newer audience than constantly putting controversial personalities in front of the camera. Because then you start looking around at the people consistently featured during Indiana Fever broadcasts, opening games, halftime coverage, and national media discussions, and a pattern starts becoming obvious. You've got Monica McNutt constantly criticized by Caitlin Clark fans. You've got Renee Montgomery getting backlash from Caitlin supporters. You've got Elle Duncan and Drya Carter, and others who many Fever fans feel have been unfair toward Caitlin Clark. And whether people agree with that criticism or not is honestly beside the point. The point is perception matters. If a huge portion of your new audience feels alienated by the people constantly representing your product, why wouldn't you try balancing that with respected legends like Cynthia Cooper, Nancy Lieberman, or Cheryl Miller? Because there are absolutely former players and basketball voices out there who appreciate Caitlin Clark, appreciate the attention she brought to the league, and understand that these new fans are not the enemy. They're not constantly throwing labels at them or accusing them of horrible things every week online. So that's why this entire situation feels so strange. How difficult is it for Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA to find personalities who unite the fan base instead of dividing it? Even if Cynthia Cooper wouldn't want a full-time television role, are we seriously supposed to believe there's nobody available who isn't viewed as openly hostile toward Caitlin Clark and her fans? It just doesn't add up. And that's why I wanted to bring this up, because the contrast is becoming impossible to ignore. On one side, you have respected legends like Cynthia Cooper and Cheryl Miller speaking positively, encouraging fans, and embracing the growth of the game. On the other hand, you have constant negativity dominating major broadcasts and league conversations. And honestly, if the WNBA truly wants long-term growth, that difference matters a lot more than people think.
I'm going to be honest because it needs to be said. I can relate to that young lady, and I felt for her. Mm-hmm. I know what it's like to be hated. I know what it's like to be a Black woman and hated because of my color. Yeah. I can't imagine this young lady, I don't want to use hate, but despised. Mm-hmm. And people just having, she brought some on herself a little bit because she's cocky for a good reason. Mm-hmm. And I love that about her. But to watch the dynamics and the media, they had their narrative. Mm-hmm. And I was pleased and proud to see the narrative wasn't the truth.
Right.
And Angel and her got along so well, and watching them practice. And just get it. And Caitlin's like, just fly. And watching her pass. And I didn't know how talented she was and how well she sees the game in a 3D version. Thinker, defensively a lot better than I thought and gave her credit for. So watching her and just spending a little time. And one thing, guys, that I've learned is to step back and let these kids be themselves. Look, I speak when I'm spoken to. I'm not sitting up there knocking on anybody's door, offering my advice because I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be social media, Instagram this. I don't know what it's like to be bombarded and have to be the breadwinner in the family and be a brand and be worried about what I do or say and everything else, or 24/7 being pulled in so many different directions and not knowing. Throw in the fact that if I'm insecure, if I've got my own mental issues going on, who do I talk to? I don't regret being born when I was.
Right.
You know, one thing I keep coming back to with all of this is just how valuable people like Cheryl Miller are for the future of the WNBA. Seriously, Cheryl Miller is awesome. Every time she talks basketball, you actually learn something. The insight she gave after coaching Caitlin Clark during the All-Star game was fantastic because it came from a place of respect, understanding, and experience. She wasn't out there trying to tear anyone down. She even made it clear she's not the type to constantly force unsolicited advice onto players. And honestly, that approach matters. Which is exactly why I don't understand why the WNBA hasn't leaned harder into people like Cheryl Miller, Cynthia Cooper, and Nancy Lieberman. Why not bring them in for promos? Why not have them appear during major Indiana Fever primetime games? Even if it's only a few appearances throughout the season, those voices instantly bring credibility and positivity to the broadcast. Because at the end of the day, the league has made things harder on itself than it needed to. Instead of constantly putting forward personalities fans feel are openly hostile toward Caitlin Clark, why not elevate respected legends who appreciate what she has brought to women's basketball? That's the bigger issue here. It's not just about new players entering the league. It's about changing the overall culture surrounding the league. Bring in a new generation of voices that appreciate growth, appreciate the fans, and appreciate great basketball. Because maybe in 5 years, we're finally talking about the WNBA purely because of the basketball itself. Let me know your thoughts. Like, comment, subscribe.